general election. We're meeting with each of the candidates for Devonshire North West. This afternoon, we're going to sit and have a chat with Mr. Wayne Caines, who is the contender for Constituency 14 on behalf of the Progressive Labour Party. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I guess to start with, we'd like to hear a bit about why you're running in Devonshire North West.
It's very simple. That is a constituency where I grew up. And I've said this before in this election cycle. My grandfather came to Bermuda in 1927, and he set up shop. He set up his home, made his home on Happy Valley. He built a house on Happy Valley. My dad and his brothers and sisters, they grew up there. That's where I was born, and that's where I was raised. And so I am literally back in a community where I was raised. I attended the Prospect Primary School. I attended the Powell's Nursery. And so what you're seeing for me is an opportunity for me to give back to my community, a community that has done so much for me. So if I were to put this in a phrase, this is a continuum of service. The election running for the Progressive Labour Party is an excellent opportunity for me just to continue a life of service to my community here in Bermuda.
I see. And that feeds into my next question, which is why in particular the Progressive Labour Party?
The Progressive Labour Party feeds into my ideal, what I would like to see for Bermuda. It is a Labour Party. It was Bermuda's first political party. It was born out of struggle. The people in the party established it because there were segments in our community that did not have a voice. They were not able to vote. They were not able to have opportunities that another segment of the community had. The Progressive Labour Party is very in line in keeping with my ideals. I am always for the underdog in anything that I do. The Progressive Labour Party represents Bermuda's working man and woman. It represents the people that earn their living by the sweat of their brow. And I would love to have the opportunity to continue to be their voice and continue on our proud legacy of looking out for the working man and woman in Bermuda.
Following on from that, what has canvassing been like?
Canvassing is a very interesting experience. Some homes you go to, you rekindle with old friends. You have a Sprite on the couch. Sometimes you get gingerbread. I'm sure I've put on a few pounds from the evening meals that I've had with family when they so awesomely invite you to sit down and have some dinner with them, and you're able to talk with families over tea. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you go to a family and you hear about their struggle, you hear about their pain, you hear about the things that have happened to them in the last few years. And it's very difficult because it hurts. Sometimes you're with a family and they share with you their disappointment with how the country is being run. Sometimes you go to a house, they don't want you to come in. They don't allow you to say anything. They slam the door in your face. And so I've had from welcoming arms and hugs and cuddles to doors being slammed in my face. But at every stage, it is an opportunity and a learning opportunity for growth.
By and large, what has the response been like on the doorstep?
By and large, the response has been exceedingly positive. People excited about me being in the campaign. People excited about the opportunities for the future. There is so much going on in that neighborhood that they are excited to have somebody that will take their views, that will take their challenges on to Parliament.
And speaking of the neighborhood itself, you look at the map of the constituency, there's this sort of blank center to it and lots of different neighborhoods ringed around it. What is it like as a constituency? As a constituency, it is really diverse. It goes from Cedar Park to School Drive, to Devon Lane, to Roberts Avenue, to Frizzle's Hill, to Parsons Road, to Happydale Lane. But it also transitions from the working neighborhoods down to Belvedere Road, Hesitation Lane, Camden Road, Berry Hill Road, and Paget. So this is, as much as the hills undulate, so do the needs, the wants, the aspirations of the people in this diverse community. We're going to talk a bit about issues both in the area and nationally. As far as the country goes, what are the main things that people have communicated to you? What are the issues that are on their minds?
Crime and the reduction thereof with gang violence. Jobs, the economy. And opportunity. I've heard so many people in this constituency say that they have been frozen out of everything. They have no voice.
They talk about how so many people in the neighborhood, their friends, have moved to England for a better way of life. And I call it economic exile in England. Mothers having to send their sons away to school because they are totally afraid of the gang culture in Bermuda and what that represents in the central Pembroke and Devonshire areas.
You're hearing a lot of that, the people who've immigrated to the UK, for example, for
Yes.
economic and actually, I guess feeds into as well, specific to the constituency itself. What are some of the issues that people have presented to you when you've knocked on their doors?
When I've knocked on the door specifically, in Cedar Park, they do not have drinking water. The water is Flint, Michigan brown. They're not able to wash. There's no neighborhood store. The closest store for Cedar Park is, the closest neighborhood store is a store on 2A Deepdale or Marketplace in Hamilton. Jobs. So many young men in the neighborhood, in the extended neighborhood, are not working, looking for opportunities. In the Cedar Park and the Schoolsdale Drive and the Devon Lane area, they have a huge problem with sewage. In the early mornings and in the 6 and 7 o'clock at night, there is an obnoxious effluvium, a bad smell, if you please, that comes from the neighborhood. And it just comes from those units were built in the 70s. And so there is a bad and a putrid smell in the neighborhood. And they want to know over the last 5 years, over the last election cycle, since these instances have occurred, why has their member of parliament done nothing? Why has the other candidate that now finds herself running, why has she not done anything to help with that? They have said last year, everybody heard about the problems with the water in the area, Mr. Caines. We can't drink the water. We can't afford water purification measures on our own. We can't wash it, destroys our clothes. Can somebody help us? We see the infrastructure for other things on the island. Don't we matter?
If you're an elected representative for the constituency, are you confident that you'll be able to tackle some of these local issues?
Not only do I think we need to look at this thing clearly, one of the things that I want to do differently in this constituency and roll this out nationally as a part of something that I believe in, I think that oftentimes, yes, we must hold our politicians accountable, but also the people in this neighborhood have to be taught how to fish. We have to understand that finding jobs means that we have to be prepared. And just as much as we need to take the responsibility of finding jobs, we need to help them to get the GEDs, to prepare through mentorship programs. And so our community as a whole, whether they're middle class, whether they're working class, whether they're in Camden, whether in Berry Hill Road, we have to infuse this community, black, white, middle class. We have to infuse everyone to see if we can help each other. Of course, the government must continue with this platform and get specific things in place, but through strong education programs, strong workforce developments, strong anti-gang initiatives. But we must also give people the opportunity in the neighborhood not only to be a part of the solution, but to put the building blocks in place to help with the solution.
Sir, thanks very much. That covers us.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Today we're here in Devonshire North West, and we're sitting in the home of Glen Smith, who is the incumbent MP for the area, and we're going to be talking about the upcoming general election.
Thank you, Jonathan. Welcome.
Welcome
to my constituency.
Yes. I guess we'll start with what puts you in this constituency in the first place. Obviously, this is the one that you won back in 2012. Why Devonshire North West?
Sure. I've grown up here my whole life, my entire life. I won't name you how many 50 years I've been here. So essentially, I grew up off Middle Road, Devonshire, opposite the Arboretum. And I played a lot in the Arboretum with all walks of life of the Devonshire community, particularly from the children that used to come down from Prospect and over from Hesitation Lane. And then, of course, we had played with some children from Cedar Park. So that's where my roots are, and that's where I'm from.
You go back a ways here.
I certainly do.
Why the One Bermuda Alliance?
Why the One Bermuda Alliance? For me, one thing with the One Bermuda Alliance, we have diversity in our team. not only in race, but obviously with the different cultures. There's a different thought process. So at the end of the day, when you look at the One Bermuda Alliance, we obviously, there's a lot of debate, there's a lot of talk, because we all have come from different diversity. And when you come from different diversities, we believe that, and I believe that, you can bring the best out of that and then formulate what's the best of Bermuda. And we're just not a one-lane segment machine. We are a machine that, we are a party that covers everyone.
We've been talking about canvassing. What's it been like? What's the mood like on the doorstep as you go around the constituency?
Do you know, Jonathan, for myself, I've consistently worked this constituency since 2012. I think it was December 17th that evening. The next day, I went out to thank my constituents for supporting me. And I've consistently been working the area, maybe not on foot like during a campaign, but being in touch with them. I call everybody for their birthday. I send thank you notes. Obviously, you have to do the, unfortunately, you have to go to funerals. And, I have a revolving door. I have constituents that come and see me at my place of work looking for advice and what have you. So at the end of the day, I've made myself available. And so to answer your question, it's going relatively very well.
We've been looking at the map of the constituency as well. It's quite a hodgepodge of different neighborhoods around a sort of large, empty sort of central area. I mean, what's a constituency like? It often is, when you look at them, there are these wedges of different areas. Is there a consistent theme throughout it?
I mean, the consistent theme at the end of the day is everybody's is about economics, right? Everybody wants job security at the end of the day. So, I mean, that is the common thing, is job stability and growth in the economy. If you look at the constituency, it is, you have mom and pop type shops, you have a good cross-section of blue-collar workers, and then you have a cross-section of individuals that own their businesses. So it is diverse. But as I said, at the end of the day, people are interested in the economy, continue to go forward, that it is going in, and obviously another big one is education. That is consistently that, and of course for the seniors is, they're concerned about their welfare, obviously the expense of being a senior and what have you.
I guess my next question for you, sir, is parochial issues. The types of things that lighting, for example. What sort of, I mean, strictly parish issues have you been, or constituency issues have you been?
With Cedar Park, when I first entered in there as an official, the lighting wasn't up to scratch, so organized to have new LED lighting put through Cedar Park Road. The homes hadn't been painted for a long time, so being an advocate with the homeowners to work with Bermuda Housing Corporation, which I have to thank, they've been fantastic at getting it done, and that's getting the outside of these homes all painted and the roofs done, and even putting up simple street signage in their neighborhood. And then there's Deepdale. Once again, we replaced all their lighting there because there's long-term homeowners that live down on Deepdale. They were concerned about their safety coming home, either working or leaving early in the morning to go to work in the winter in the dark. So organized to get the LED lighting placed down there. And also we put down a CCTV camera to obviously the Bermuda Police Services are monitoring it for what drug activity and what have you that goes on in that neighborhood. And this is what the constituents wanted. And I'm happy that I played a part in that. And then it can be anything from making sure the trees are cut back on the street. I was involved in a couple of KBB cleanup areas in the neighborhood, which was great. And also we've done some road work should be coming up pretty soon on Parsons Road. It's like an ice rink when it rains from Roberts Avenue down to where you go down to that little grocery store down by Deepdale. And so they're hopefully going to be asphalting that sometime in July or August. And so it's basically, for myself, it's answering the needs of the constituents. And then what I do is I'm, as a as the conduit or the messenger, I'd go to the appropriate departments and put the case for it. And have we achieved everything we wanted to? No, we haven't. But the constituency is a little bit better than what it was in 2012, but we still have more to do.
I guess that feeds into my next question for you, which is what would be a priority for you if you were, returned as MP for Devonshire North West?
Well, the overall priority, I think, for everybody at the end of the day is the economy, and to make sure that it's continually going the right way. By that is creating jobs, getting people back to work. So the good news is the economy is certainly going in the right direction, but from a parochial issue, it's safety. Unfortunately, I had a very good friend by the name of Janai Atterbridge that had his life taken from him, a senseless murder that took place down at Mid-Atlantic Boat Club. And, that really affected me. And it was heartful, and I've worked with his mom, his sisters, and obviously the family in Cedar Park, because he was an amazing person, well loved, well liked, and this happened. So that's an area that we need to continue to work on, which is obviously its communication, working with the Bermuda Police Services and churches and neighborhoods.
Well, thanks for that, sir. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with us.